In smaller towns, life moves differently. Time is measured less by milestones and more by routine. Morning light through the same windows, the same walk to the market, the same questions asked softly by relatives who mean well. Many people living this kind of life carry a quiet worry that never quite leaves. Am I falling behind, or is this simply where I am meant to stay? Ethan was 35 years old and still living in the house where he grew up. The wooden floors creaked with familiarity, and the walls were lined with family photos taken years apart, but somehow all the same. He worked as a store assistant at an agricultural supply shop along the main road of their provincial town. His days were spent lifting sacks of feed, restocking shelves, and helping farmers load their purchases under the heat of the afternoon sun. The pay was modest, but it mattered. Ethan was the main breadwinner in the household, covering groceries, utilities, and small medical expenses without complaint. From the outside, Ethan's life looked responsible. Inside, it felt unfinished. Friends from school had moved away or started families of their own. Some had businesses. Others worked overseas. Ethan stayed, not because he lacked dreams, but because duty came first. He told himself this was enough, that providing for his parents was what mattered most. Still, in quiet moments, he wondered if choosing responsibility had quietly pushed his own future aside. His days followed a steady rhythm. Wake early, work long hours, come home tired, eat dinner at the same table where he had eaten as a child. When the house grew quiet, he often sat alone, scrolling without purpose or staring into space, telling himself he would think about change tomorrow. Tomorrow, however, always looked exactly like today. One evening, on his way home from work, Ethan stopped at a small roadside eatery to buy takeout for his parents. The place was nearly empty. An older woman stood ahead of him in line, counting coins slowly with hands that trembled just a little. The cashier hesitated. Without thinking much about it, Ethan stepped forward and said quietly, "It's okay. I'll cover it." The woman turned to him, surprised. "You didn't have to do that." Ethan shrugged slightly. "It's fine." They waited nearby for their orders. After a moment, the woman asked, "You work close by?" Ethan nodded. "At the supply shop down the road." She smiled. "Long days?" He gave a small laugh. "Most of them." She paused, then asked gently, "Do you plan to stay there?" Ethan hesitated before answering. "I don't know. I feel like I could do more. I just never seem to start." The woman looked at him for a moment and said, "Most people think confidence comes first. It usually doesn't." Ethan frowned slightly. She continued, "Discipline comes first. Confidence follows later. You don't wait until you trust yourself. You build trust by showing up." Then she added, almost casually, "Capability means nothing if you never give it structure." The words struck him cold, not because they were harsh, but because they were accurate. When their food arrived, the woman stood and said, "You're not behind. You're simply underused." Then she smiled and walked away. As Ethan waited for his order, the eatery owner leaned over and said quietly, "You know who that was?" When Ethan shook his head, the man explained that she owned several large farms and supply businesses across the province. She preferred a quiet life and rarely spoke about her work. That night, Ethan could not sleep. The woman's words stayed with him, not loudly, but steadily. For the first time, he saw discipline differently. Not as pressure or sacrifice, but as respect. Respect for the part of him that knew he was capable. The next evening, after dinner, Ethan opened an old notebook. He listed what he already knew from years at the supply shop. Inventory flow, ordering cycles, which products sold quickly and which sat untouched. He began studying basic inventory management and bookkeeping online, slowly and carefully. Some nights he studied for only 20 minutes. Other nights he practiced organizing mock orders. He did not tell anyone. This was not a dream yet. It was preparation. Weeks turned into months. Ethan began noticing inefficiencies at work and quietly suggesting improvements. He helped reorganize stock. He tracked shortages before they became problems. When a training exam for senior stock supervisors opened, he applied, something he would have dismissed before. He studied in the evenings and passed on his first attempt. The promotion did not change his life overnight, but it changed his direction. His pay increased slightly. His responsibilities grew. More importantly, his confidence felt earned. Around the same time, Ethan used a small amount of money he had saved to start a weekend side business. He offered inventory consulting and delivery coordination to smaller farms that could not afford full suppliers. It started with one client, then two. Quietly, without announcement, his future began to expand. One evening, sitting at the same table he had eaten at his whole life, Ethan realized something important. Living with his parents had never meant he failed. Being a breadwinner had never meant his growth was over. Starting late had never meant starting weak. Sometimes all it takes is one honest moment, one clear truth, and the discipline to trust yourself enough to begin. When you give your ability structure and your effort respect, even a quiet life can open into something more.